Welcome to Scavenge-ology, the podcast where we are uncovering the truth behind what you're eating. This is your host, Elena. So happy that you have joined us for our episode this week, and really excited to uncover the topic for today. I think this topic is really interesting. I know that even before I was heavily interested in food and in the food industry, I always questioned this topic and had a lot of misconceptions, and I believe a lot of people do. So I'm really excited to dive in to today's episode with you guys. So for today's episode, we're going to be covering what does all natural really mean when it comes to food labels. So you may see this label on chicken or beef or meat in the meat department of the grocery store. That's where I see it a lot. I've seen it on bacon, all kinds of things. And bacon was the first place I actually recognized this all natural label, and the reason why I actually became educated on the subject. So I'll give that backstory in just a moment. But I want to start with, what the actual definition of natural means. So in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it defines natural, the best definition given that fits the food world, at least, is closely resembling an original, true to nature. So you would think, not processed. You would think, no colors or synthetic additives. That's probably what comes to mind when you see all natural or hear the term all natural when it comes to food. And back when I was in college, I actually purchased some bacon from a brand that I don't even remember the name of anymore. But I remember doing like a small post on my Facebook when I was starting out eating healthier. I just shared a lot about it for accountability on social media. And I shared, this bacon that I purchased. And I put, so excited to try this, blah, blah, blah. Here's all the benefits, all natural, no antibiotics, all these things. And I had a girl who was way more educated on the subject than I was. And she actually didn't work in the food industry. She actually worked in the animal industry, which was interesting. But she commented and educated me a little bit on, what all natural really is, the fact that it's not regulated, no antibiotics isn't something necessary to look for because you can't overall use antibiotics in certain food products anyway. So it's just something they add for marketing ploys, but not really something that matters. She basically gave me all these answers. And I was sitting there just stunned and so confused because here I was not paying, $4, $3 back then, maybe even for, the cheapest bacon on the market. Here I am spending $9, $10 on this packet of bacon just because they marketed to me, this young college student. I believe I was a freshman or a sophomore in college. I was pretty young. And marketing to me, with these fancy terms and these cute graphics on their packaging and all natural this. And I was like, oh, I'm going to, get this bacon. It's worth the money. And then come to find out it really meant nothing that it said all natural. Granted, it probably was a bit healthier in some certain aspects, but the fact that it said all natural is what we're diving into today. So I just wanted to bring that to light because it really, we're going to learn, doesn't really mean much. So the belief is when something is all natural, that it's going to be better for you, that it does not contain artificial ingredients, and that it's going to be better for you, for your health, for your weight, if that's what you're looking at, for your genetics. And if you are pregnant, like I am, sometimes you pay more attention to the things you're eating. Wasn't true for me in the beginning because I definitely had McDonald's like every week. It was the only thing I could eat. But you start to pay attention to what you're putting into your body at different stages of your life, whether it's, trying to lose weight, trying to be healthier, trying to lower your risk factors for maybe high blood pressure, diabetes, pregnancy, whatever it might be for you. So all natural is something that I believe most people look at thinking they're making the best decision for their health. But what you may or may not know is the FDA does not actually define or regulate an official definition for all natural or for natural foods. So it's really interesting because there was a study done back in 2016. They documented it on the FDA website. So I don't know if it would actually be quite a study. I just going to refer to it as that, where people continued to ask the FDA to regulate this term. And for whatever reason, they still don't. So there are some, artificial ingredients and things that are not necessarily detrimental to your health. For example, folic acid, that's an artificial form of a B vitamin. So that's still artificial technically, but it's not something like yellow number 6 or, red food dye, whatever you may consider as a dangerous additive to your food. So there are certain things and certain artificial forms of vitamins, things like that can be beneficial for food and that it can actually enrich food. But overall, all natural does not necessarily mean no additives. So since the FDA doesn't have this official definition, their position on the word natural, and so what you can find on their website is the term is only appropriate if food does not contain added colors, artificial flavors, or synthetic substances. So although they do comment on it, they don't actually regulate it like they do other terms. So since it's not formally regulated, the consumer, which is us, we're left to just trust these food manufacturers and food marketers. So a food that's made with all natural ingredients, it could still, contain GMO products, hormones, other things that we do worry about. Because if you see all natural, and you are new to the food space, you may be less likely to actually read the ingredients. Granted, if you see all natural, you've had experience in the food space and you know what you're looking for. We have another episode on reading food labels that you guys could go back and reference for this. But if you are not used to reading food labels, you're probably not going to reference the ingredients list if you read all natural on the product. But if you are more experienced and you read all natural, you may still check. For example, I have a very, very bad gluten intolerance. So I'm not celiac, but I cannot consume gluten. So even if I read something is gluten-free, I still read the ingredients. And granted, gluten-free is something that's regulated. So I know, with my better judgment, that it's probably fine to buy a product just because it's labeled certified gluten-free. But I have it ingrained in my head after doing so much research and really being mindful to the things I eat to actually just go reference that ingredients label anyways. So, for people who don't have that experience or don't have that knowledge, they're probably less likely to go reference that label. So they could just be buying something because it's marketed with an all natural sticker or cute little graphic on the front of the package. But if you flipped over to the ingredients, you would see these additives, potentially GMOs, hormones, modified ingredients, things like that. So natural foods, all natural examples, don't have to be organically produced. So it doesn't mean that the farm animals were treated well. So we do a lot of talk about the animals. You can go back to our hunter cattle episode where we speak with hunter cattle's team about their grass-fed and grass-finished animals. And we talk a lot about why it's important for animals to be treated well and be ethically raised. And at Primal Rock, which is our virtual online grocery store that you can check out in the link below, that is something we heavily focus on is animals being treated right, reinventing the food chain, all of these things. So just because it's all natural on a label does not mean that those animals, or if it's an animal product, for example, the bacon that I purchase, all natural does not entitle that company or that brand to have treated their animals properly. So all natural does not really mean much of anything if you can't grasp that so far from our conversation. All natural foods can also be really high in calories and fats and sodiums and sugars. Just because it's labeled as a natural product does not mean anything for the ingredients or anything for the calorie statement either. So now that we've uncovered a bit more of what all natural means when it comes to food labels, and by uncovered, I mean we've learned it really means nothing, I want to share a few things that you can do when you're shopping if you do want to buy all natural foods at the grocery store. Clearly, fresh produce is natural because it's unaltered and it's pretty much what was harvested by the brands, but you can also opt for organic produce if that is something that you prefer. I thought it was really interesting in my research as well to learn on the FDA website that the FDA does not regulate the use of the term organic on food labels either. So there's actually this program called the National Organic Program, or the NOP. That's a federal regulatory framework, and it governs organically produced crops and livestock. So the U.S. Department of Agriculture, or the USDA, which which is more commonly known, oversees the program and then enforces the NOP, which is what I just referenced, National Organic Program, regulations and standards. So they regulate the use of the term organic on food labels. So the USDA requirements for products labeled organic are completely separate from the laws that the FDA enforces. So food products that are usually under the FDA's jurisdiction and labeled with organic claims must comply with both USDA NOP regulations for the organic claim and the FDA regulations for food labeling and safety. So this was really interesting to me. I will put this link below if you want to read more about this. But when you are shopping for produce, natural produce and the healthiest produce you can find, organic's definitely the way to go. And I wanted to just give that information in case you do head over to the FDA website, because that was something even I learned brand new. So I will give a few examples here of ways that you can shop all natural or more natural, because it can get really complicated when you're looking at processed foods like crackers or cookies, things like that. So not all processed foods are bad. I don't want to be generalizing giving that statement, because things like pasteurized milk or canned fish, frozen vegetables, those are things that are technically processed that can be good for you too. So when I say processed foods, I should be more specific in that I'm referencing things like packaged crackers, packaged cookies, packaged snacks, things of that sort. So when you're shopping for meats or fish, poultry, you can choose items that are minimally processed, like lean cuts of beef or pork, fresh chicken, or fresh or frozen seafood. Processed meats or more overly processed meats are things like sausage and bacon. Those are more likely to contain artificial flavorings or preservatives. And that is referenced from Very Well Fit and a study done by Micah Micas. Interesting name. I can also link that below for you. So you can check out the ingredients list if you are buying something like sausage or bacon, like I was, but things that are more minimally processed, you can find things that have humanely raised stickers or tags. You can research brands ahead of time before you go to the store, all of these things. So then prepackaged snack foods, a very few brands of snacks are actually going to be completely natural. But if you go to this natural snack food section at the store, sometimes stores have a separate gluten-free aisle or a separate, healthier snack aisle, or you may just shop at a healthier is a very vague term, but such as Whole Foods or Fresh Market. I'm trying to think of a few other stores. I've moved from Georgia to the north and we have a variety of stores. So I'm trying to cover all my bases. But if you go to like a Whole Foods or a Fresh Market, you may find it easier to find a wider selection of brands that are opting into a more natural, healthier lifestyle. But if you shop at a generic store such as Acme, or we have Wegmans and Giant, and then down south there's like Kroger, Publix, there's ShopRites, things like that. Those stores, you can still find a lot of the same brands that you may be able to find at a Whole Foods or a Fresh Market. It just may take a little more digging. But if you do see a claim that a food is all natural, you see a cute little sticker on the marketing package, does not necessarily mean that it's good for you. So like we shared before, flip over that box, that carton, whatever it might be, read the food label, make sure you're looking at the nutrition facts and especially the ingredients. And then breads and cereals, this may be more applicable if you have children or young children and they just need something quick for school. I know in pregnancy, I have also loved cereal. So kids cereals are usually colored with artificial colorings, but you can definitely find brands with natural colors. So for example, food coloring, red food dye. There's a ton of studies. I would love to dive into this on another episode with you, how red food dye specifically, not necessarily yellow or green or whatever, but red can really, really affect children and growth and development and behavioral issues, things like that. So some brands do use red food coloring, traditional brands like Fruit Loops or Lucky Charms, things like that, may have these types of colorings and ingredients, but some more natural brands leaning towards a newer and more healthy lifestyle can use colors such as beet juice or different fruit juices, vegetable juices to color their products. So remembering also whole grains are healthier for you than refined flour, and really paying attention to the sugar content on the ingredient list, not just picking up something that says all natural or no synthetic dyes or whatever, and just putting it in your cart. Really flip that over, read the ingredients, read the sugar content for the serving size, pay attention to all of those things. So there's a lot that goes into shopping natural, right? This is not something that you just go to the store, and I probably bursted a lot of bubbles of, I'm just going to go and pick out anything that says all natural and that's what it's going to be. So I'm sorry for that. But it's really important to find reputable brands and stores and places that you can shop where you are able to trust that they are doing the work for you. And I wanted to just give a shameless plug for Primal Rock Grocery House, which is our online grocery store, because we offer you conscious food items with high quality and flavorful real ingredients. And we actually review every product on the site to ensure it meets the standards. So you can go over to primalrockgroceryhouse.com. I will link that below. And you can read all of the banned ingredients for every product that goes live on our site. We are all about animal welfare as well. So we ensure that animals are humanely raised and we genuinely care about the animals that feed us, and our standards require ethical treatment of all the meat on our site as well. So it's important to find brands and snacks and meats and entrees and sides from a brand that you can trust. And if you want the work done for you, check out Primal Rock. Brands like Primal Rock and community-centric organizations can really make the tough job that it sounds like after this episode of grocery shopping a little bit easier for you. So I hope that this episode was helpful. I hope that you learned something. I actually learned a lot doing this research, especially regarding all natural and organic foods. I would love to hear from you. You can connect with us over on the Primal Rock Instagram or Facebook page. You can also join our mailing list for the podcast below and stay in the loop for future episodes. And we will speak with you next time. Thanks.